Oh yeah.
Okay, it's preparing.
Sent to a
It's
third
setting
party.
up your meeting. All right, I'll when it goes live, I'll say hello and
Hidden clues, that's another one somebody's using. That's a good one.
direct it. Okay. All right, everybody. I think that we are live on YouTube right now. This is something that we have been trying to do for a while. Let's see. I can see. Can we see us? Why does it look? Let's see. Let me see if we're live. Oh, here we
Just
are.
pretend we are.
Okay, we are
Pretend
live,
we are.
guys. All right,
Yeah.
hey, look, this is our first one. We're live on YouTube. We only have 2 subscribers, and we're trying to get this thing going. So it's a little janky right now in our start, but we
Way
haven't
to
even
sell it.
started. Yeah, hey, this is the podcast. This isn't even the podcast. This is free stuff you're getting early. Say hello, Solo, while I share this to Facebook.
Oh, we're going everywhere. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
we're gonna be on MySpace and a fax machine. But yes, welcome everyone. We finally decided to catch up with not technology because we're evidently having some trouble. But we're checking in with 2025 and going live on video. Video.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's video anymore. Shows you my age.
What is,
Reel
I'm
to
waiting for
reel.
it to come up. Here we go. And this is fun. Of course, we're here talking about Severance. We've got secrets. We're going to reveal them. We've got, what else do we got, Anda?
Egg theories, egg bar
Egg
socials.
theories.
Now we wondering the egg bar social has a whole new meaning now, gents.
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
that's true.
We're
Okay.
gonna go deep. We're gonna go even deeper than MC Hammer. Let's
All
go
right.
deeper.
That was
That
deep
was a
cut solo.
drop. That was a
Holy
deep
cow.
cut. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Here we
Well,
go. All right, gentlemen. So let's get this podcast started, okay?
Let's do it.
okay.
Here.
Axel sounds like a kindergarten teacher right now. Okay,
I was a
guys,
kid.
we're
Don't
on
forget.
video. We're gonna
I
get
was a
started.
kindergarten teacher,
Oh, well, there you go. And
so
we're your Egan kids.
I do have that in me. I've been told that before when I sound like comic. My son says that to me. He's like, Dad, I'm not 3 anymore, okay? I was like, come on, we're on an adventure. He's
Oh,
like, no,
yeah.
we're going to Safeway, Dad.
So
Um,
National Lampoon's Axel's Vacation.
that's kind of how I am. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everyone, to my wife's being held prisoner at Lumen, and I just got brain surgery in my basement. A Severance podcast brought to you by the DVR Podcast Network. Check us out at dvrpodcast.com. Become a patron at patreon.com/DVR. We have some new patrons. It's very exciting. Every time I look at my phone, I see something. I want to give a thanks to Angie for joining up with us. We had some recent comments on our Patreon from Bobby. Bobby, I love you. You're awesome. You're always listening. A great patron. Anne, I want to give a shout out to Ricardo, Jennifer, our newest paid patron, David, Elisa, Albert, all our awesome patrons. You can join up today for as little as $3 or $1, whatever you want. We appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on. Patreon.com/DVR. The link is in the show notes, and I'll put it on the YouTube as well. My name is Axel, and with me, of course, are Mr. Heath Solo. Hello, Heath.
Hello, Axel. Hello, Ando. I'm very excited to talk about the penultimate
Oh,
episode and see what's going on with that crazy train.
yeah, baby. And by the way, Solo, we love your U headband.
I love headbands.
I
I'm
love it.
not stuck in the 80s. They're my workout go-to, especially when my hair is long. But I figure why not? It's our first live pod. Let's bring them back. I mean, I did one time real quick. I was helping a producer friend of mine work on his house, and I had the ripped sleeves and a headband. He goes, "What did you just get off the set of the movie Perfect with Travolta?" And I'm laughing, and I was like, and I saw the picture of Travolta with the headband.
That's classic,
Yes,
man.
that's perfect.
That's a classic callback, dude. Oh,
You're
that
gonna
was a
get a
good
lot of
one.
those.
That was the re-team with Olivia Newton-John, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
believe so.
Yeah, that was like, hey, let's make an R-rated movie with them. I think after that, they were like, let's cash in. I watched it. Ando, how are you doing today out in Minnesota?
Well, all I have is this podcast and fucking pencil erasers, so I'm very excited that we're back here. Let's talk some Severance.
Let's do it. All right. Well, guys, this was such a great episode. I rewatched last night. This is kind of one of those episodes where if you're not like a podcast person recording one, or you're not crazy into the show, you just like listening to us, you probably rewatched this episode even as a casual viewer. I would think this so much happened. I kind of had to like, wow, like how do you take it all in? It really was a ton of shit that happened. I don't know. Ando Solo, is there anywhere you guys want to start?
Well, first thing I want to say is I don't think there's that many people that are casually into this.
That's true. That's
Everyone that
probably
I've
true.
talked to that watches this show is into it hardcore. I don't, it's hard
Yeah.
to not be, I think, at this point, the way this season has gone. But I don't know. Where do you want to start, Solo? Any ideas?
Well, I got one thing to say, or two things to say before we start. One, what was that terrible 80s movie where the guy kept going, it's casual, it's casual. Like Wild Sex or something it was called. I forget.
I
It
don't
was
know.
anyway. No, but I want to say is when I first watched it 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time on Thursday, uh, I was a little taken aback because we went back to our outies and innies and we just had the Gemma episode, or some people call it the Hannah episode. um, and then we had the Cobell episode. And so now we're back into like the rotation of, and it took me a little bit. I mean, I was loving it, but it was like, oh, wow, that's right. We are going back. I got to get ready for this. So I enjoyed the episode, but then after letting it sink in for a couple of days, then I was like, when I rewatched it this morning, actually, I like saw it in a whole new light. And it was just, I thought it was an amazing episode, and I'm excited to talk about it. Where do we want to start? Let's start out actually with I would like to start out with the Helena and her father and the eggs and the swimming and all that, just to kind of get us
Right at the
flowing
beginning.
right at the
Yeah.
beginning. Um, First off, I know when you see her swimming indoors and you see the snow outside, I'm like, Axel's gonna love this shot.
Of course. I can't, every time this show just makes me feel so good because I love the snow, and that was so pretty too. That was just, it was interesting. It looks like their house is not that far away from the Lumen building, right? It's almost like right on the land there. I don't know. What did you get? Well, maybe we'll go forward with that. We'll talk
You know
about that a
what?
little bit, but
I can clear one point up there. This morning I actually was on the road. I had to drive for like 3 hours this morning, so I actually threw on the official podcast. I hadn't listened to it before,
oh,
so I listened
okay.
to the Ben Stiller and Adam Scott talk, and they don't really give any story beats. It's more about the acting and the process of making the. I think Solo. I think you would love this podcast if all the episodes are like this. But he did say that uh, Helena and James live in the same house, and that's very close to the Lumen campus.
Okay, so
So that is confirmed.
that
Yeah.
wasn't any kind of trick editing.
I don't think so. Not
That
according to Ben
yeah.
Stiller.
And I
So
wonder how close it is to the retreat they went because you saw the trees and everything. I'm like, is that retreat pretty close
I bet it
as
is.
well?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Oh, good thinking, Solo. I had not even thought
Could
of
it be their
that.
backyard? Like no one's allowed to go
Yeah,
to, you
Hmm.
that's
know?
so interesting.
They
I
have complete
loved the sh
control over it. I bet they have acres and acres of property
Right.
surrounding it. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
the shot when the kind of drone shot when the car goes by and just before it goes to black and it pulls back and it's over the water tower.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The sound that it makes when it does that almost made me, it was like a reveal sound, kind of like,
Hmm.
wow. And I was like, is that a fucking alien ship? Like, is this water tower gonna raise up and like go up into, I
No,
was like, what
like
are
Men
they
in Black,
showing
where
us?
the big tower ends up being the spaceship that
Yeah.
flies away at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought, I just, man, that was so beautiful. And I know I think that part too is shot in New Jersey. Our friend Bill Kava, if you're a fan, go to our Facebook page, Daily DVR. By the way, if you're listening and you're just subscribed to the Severance feed, subscribe to Daily DVR because that's where we drop everything we do. And if you want to continue listening to us, that's where you'll find new shows. What we always do is break out the show into its own feed. So anyway, but
Also,
Bill
Axel,
Kava,
what
yes.
about along with Bill Kava and the bagels he eats all over the world?
Well, I wasn't sure if you were a fan, if you meant about of our podcast, or a fan of Bill Kava.
I'm a
I'm a
Yeah,
fan of
fan
Bill
of
see,
both,
Kava.
but
I'd rather hang out with Bill Kava than listen to these yokels. But
so would I.
but
He's
now
always
that
with
we're on
us.
YouTube Live, can also people see the video feed of that if
Yeah,
they're listening?
wow, Solo, you're absolutely right. Check the show notes because there'll be a link to our YouTube channel. We're trying to do something new. We're going to try to do all our shows on YouTube. It's us talking, it's casual, but if that's easier for you to put on YouTube and listen to us or watch us on your TV, we want to give you that option as well. And also, we're very handsome. So if you want to see three very handsome guys, maybe a little
Definitely
eye
funny.
candy.
We better
Yeah,
get
we're
Gina on the show quick to get our viewership up because
Yes.
yeah, Gina
wow.
is beautiful and she's got the red hair just like me. So if it's St. Patrick's Day, if you're a red hair fan, do that. But I was talking about Bill Kava. Bill
Yeah.
Kava actually visited the building that they shoot at, and he got some nice pictures with his bagels. He went inside. So he gave us there's a little video that he posted as well where you can see what they actually do at that building. And it's pretty cool. But that shot was amazing. I love that, and I thought it was beautiful. But what the fuck's up with the egg? Was that some kind of ritual, you guys, you think?
The way it was cut up and severed into
Yeah.
6 pieces.
And
Yeah,
the
it sure.
plate she had it was another weird, like, kid being held
Yeah.
down kind of
And
plate.
she
Like,
only ate the outie portion of the egg.
See, I
I
thought
don't
she
know
only
if
ate
that's
three of
symbolism
them.
too.
I thought she did eat the yolks.
No,
I don't know.
she just cut up the egg white part is all
What
she ate.
very
Really? Because I thought I
strange.
saw three of them missing. I thought there were three or
Oh,
four
maybe
left
there was
whole.
more missing that they didn't show her eating, I guess. That's true.
I do
It's
think she did eat, but she did make that weird
Yeah.
cut that could satisfy an ant.
Yeah.
very symbolic. The egg, is she pregnant? Is what's going on here? This is the whole dialogue thanks to our friends from TV show transcripts. Father, a momentous day. Yes? Won't you eat? I'll watch. We're seeing to Mr. Bailiff, which is Irving, right?
Yep.
And then he says, of course, which was the alternate title to today's episode, I wish you'd take them raw. What was that about? Guys, any guesses? Why does he
Well,
want
So go ahead,
if
Ando.
you remember way back, and it's been mentioned a couple times that Kier would drink raw eggs in the morning for breakfast every day. 3 raw eggs is what he would drink for breakfast every morning. So I think it was just an allusion to that. And like
Okay.
some people say, I mean, instead of what the other version that it could be, but like a lot of times people, when you go to a restaurant, they say, "How do you take your eggs?" I mean, that is the thing people say. So I was just kind of reading it that way, but there could be definitely be more to it. Sinister for sure.
And he was doing a nice old little moan grin,
Yeah, that
like
was
that
weird.
was. So I was like,
That's weird.
I'm like, is this a fetish?
That's
It
Yeah.
what
was,
it was. Yeah, there's
it was definitely weird.
um yeah, that guy definitely does have a feel of I don't know. It's not sexual to me. It's religious, right? It's like when he's talking, he he thinks what he's saying is so profound, but also when he describes things, like that's why I thought it was some sort of strange ritual that she was partaking in on this special day, which I would guess the special day is the completion of Cold Harbor. Do you think that's what he's making reference to?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's expected to be done, and when Dr. Robbie Benson Mauer sees that it's not, he's
Yeah.
like, "What the hell?" And then of course we get that with Drummond and everything that it needs.
Hmm.
It was promised completion was done today, and then to continue with Helena, and then we see Helly are. Also, she should be known as Helly E, which was a nice
That
moment we'll
was
get to.
awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
when her dad shows up to the severed floor, and is like, "You lied to me," and she's like, "What the fuck?" Like it was just like, was he saying you lied to me?
And I
Good,
oh, go ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead, Ando.
I was gonna say I thought the part about that threw me off is him saying my heli.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but
Oh,
you
okay.
cut me
Sorry,
off.
I wasn't sure if
That's
you were
okay.
going there or not, but
That's okay. We're
that was the
YouTube
part that
live.
threw me. Sorry.
Yeah, let me
I just got to
complete my
steal your
thought.
thunder.
Yeah, no, I just
Oh
want to complete
no,
my
guys.
thought.
Uh-oh. Our first YouTube
Snap.
disagreement.
We got
Oh
in under
no.
10
We're
minutes.
official. We are officially on YouTube. There's a conspiracy and we got into an argument.
But no, that's a great, yeah, that's what's interesting
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we thought those names were associated just by their innies. But
Yeah.
the fact that, maybe he called her that young and that, that's the basis for doing, but it just, is he talking about being lied to because of what she's done, in the fact of when they did the overtime contingency and she talked to him and
I
it
think that's
wasn't
the last
her?
time
Is
Helly and him
that,
have spoke, I think, isn't it? Was then? I don't think they've spoken since then.
I thought they had an
Helly and Jane.
exchange in an episode.
Well, because Helly was only in the last because she wasn't in the first 3 or 4 episodes because it was Helena down and below. So I don't think
I
I
think
don't
he's
know.
talking about you were talking about with Helly or Helena.
Well, I'm talking about,
I'm just talking with Helly is what I'm talking about. Sorry.
Yeah.
but it's weird. Like you lied to me as Helly. Like how would she know?
I
You know what I
didn't
mean?
get that solo. To me, I think I understood a lot of what was going on in this episode with the other characters, but I was really kind of thrown off by Helena's journey here with the breakfast. Then she's obviously when she rushes in to Milchek's, right? We see her come in the car and go. Then the next time she's rushing into Milchek's office, talking shit to him, looking for Mark,
Right.
right? Then she's going right to the picture, hang in there and getting the directions, memorizing it. She has a conversation with Dylan about him wanting to leave. And when she says you should save the ring for someone else, he goes, "Who? It's just us and the goat
Yeah,
people."
the ONR, OND, or
Yes.
whatever, OND
And then
and the
all of a
goat
sudden,
people.
I imagine Brienne of Tarth coming through and going, "I will be your goat person."
Now, would you have done that if we weren't live on YouTube, or would you have still?
Yes, I told you know
Yeah.
I would have.
Yeah, I know you did.
But I found, but then when the dad says that to her, I was like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about? Does he think
Okay,
she?"
here's my immediate thought, and
Okay,
I'm sure we'll get into more. I'm gonna go into Crazy Town right away,
I
right
love
at the
it.
top of the show.
I love it.
The first thing I thought of when he said that is, wow, that was kind of almost a warm, like I've known you forever, kind of my Helly. Is it possible they did some kind of reverse thing here where Helly is the actual daughter and Helena is the severed one? That they've somehow reversed it and somehow wiped her mind, Helly, because that would also explain why Helena is so childlike at times, can't explain stuff to people, doesn't understand. Does any of
Oh,
this make sense?
yes, that
Mm.
she was too rebellious. Because remember when
Yes.
she came in, she was
And
like,
they're
"Fuck
trying to
this."
reset her and turn her into the person that they want to take over
But
the company.
but she doesn't know that.
Yes.
Helly doesn't know that. Helena might know that she's actually an innie who's playing an Audi.
That's what I'm
But the
wondering if there's something along those. I
but
tried to
the
go back and
Audi
watch
playing
that,
the innie doesn't know.
and I went back and watched that season part of the season one there where they where Helly is outside talking, and there really isn't anything. And like when they have that conversation in the bathroom, there really isn't anything that would contradict that being possible that I could see. So I don't, because
But
that stuck out to me too was the my Helly thing.
he knows, right, Ando?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he knows. I mean that Helly, when Helly is out there talking, that would contradict any of that. But I know, and we still haven't seen that clean slate thing. That was one of the function things. So maybe that was used at some point. Maybe you can use that on Audis too. I don't. We're missing a big chunk of something there. But that my Helly line, you tricked me, my Helly. That line there really
Yeah.
something there's not. We're missing something there for sure.
Ando, you're kind of blowing my mind now. I don't know if we've ever talked about that concept
I don't
before.
think so. I never even thought of it as a possibility. And it was just that my heli
So,
was just
so,
so.
so imagine this. They put her to sleep. They put the chip in her. They wake her up as her severed new self. They explain to this severed self, you are going to live in the outside world, but you can't tell anyone that you're actually in it. Like she has to become a part of the conspiracy.
And they could mold her to whatever they wanted.
And she would want that too, right? Because she wants to live.
Hmm.
She doesn't have a choice. Solo, are you picking up on this?
I'm picking up and I'm trying to figure out it's interesting
I like that,
and
Ando.
I do like having a twist like that. If that, I mean, that gets very complicated,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
but knowing this show, they'll be able to explain it in their way properly. But we're so concentrated on Mark and everyone getting fooled by Helly that
Wow.
what if it is the reverse? And
Ando.
even more. So that's something I think to keep an eye on.
That's some Inception level shit. That's like a
It's,
dream within a dream within a
well, I've
dream,
got a
right?
bunch of
Like,
different weird way out there things. This was one of the ones that came to me, and like I say, it's solely based on that
wow.
my heli. That just seems too familiar of a phrase to for him to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And
I love it, other times I don't.
it
Obviously we're going to see. I do think there is, like you said, so I think there is going to be a big reveal of some kind at the end of this season. I don't know what
yeah.
it is, obviously, but I think something is going to be a game changer kind of thing, kind of like last season, us knowing that Helly
Wow.
was an Egan.
It is weird because the way she like responds is like, who the hell are you? But they've had a conversation for a few minutes.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, or she might be more shocked that he's there.
yeah.
Well, she says she's just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, she does. Yeah, she knows who he is. Yeah, because of
No,
that
I know,
conversation.
but
Yeah.
it's the way she
Oh, yeah, I'm just
says it.
agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't, but
I
that's,
agree with you, Solo. It was, well, I think it's also just like we've never seen him there before,
yeah.
And
right?
also right around that same time, we saw the elevator from the testing floor ding. He didn't come up from the testing floor for some reason, did he?
Hmm.
We
We
hit
don't know where he came from.
the black hallway that we see the black hallway and we hear the ding and the light and it lights up. We don't see who gets out of it. So because there was nobody waiting there, so somebody obviously came up, and that's right
Yeah,
around that same time of the
See,
episode.
I found that interesting because they
aha.
they they included the shot of the hallway in between.
Yeah.
There were two shots that damn it, I can't remember. I know one was load and mark in the truck was the second one. There was one before that that I found very interesting why they went to that tracking shot towards the testing elevator. Um,
Well,
and
that
looked
are
very
you talking about the train shot that goes right into
the
that?
train shot. Yeah, the
Yeah,
train shot. That's what it is.
that was my other thought is that that's where Irving's actually going is back to the testing floor.
That Yeah, we definitely when we get to the Irving Burt stuff,
Yeah,
like
it's all kind of tied in together. So I'm not. Yeah,
well, maybe
it's
we just go with it. Um,
Let's do it, baby.
so we get Irving gets home and he notices something's not right, and Burt is hanging out in his apartment. So it just like I think and he's reading off his notes about a
oh,
goon,
Yeah.
a looming
man, Walken
goon.
is so awesome in that.
You call
We
me
don't
a
use those
goon.
words.
We
We're
don't.
more
Yeah,
specific.
yeah. We're looming. We
Well,
don't.
there was a line when I was listening to that podcast this morning with Adam Scott and Stiller. Adam Scott was talking about that, and he's like, the coolest thing about Walken is that he can sometimes even in the same sentence be the warmest, most amazing, friendly character, and then by the end of the sentence, he has totally creeped you out, and he is scary as hell. And I
Yeah,
was like, man, that's a perfect description because that is exactly what he is, and
that's
Makes
that's
him
true.
one
so
of the
great.
greatest ever. That is
Yeah.
Yeah.
just so unique
Yep.
because anyone who would talk like that nowadays, you'd be like, "What's wrong with this dude? He's having a stroke."
I'm
But
telling you
walk.
guys, Sterling K. Brown is entering the As he gets older,
Oh.
he might get like that because he speaks so different and specifically and differently. I think he
Hmm.
might hone that as he gets
Oh, I
I
like
older.
want
that.
to
That
see
would
him do
be
a walking
Yeah.
impersonation. That's what I want.
That would be great
yes.
because even on Invincible, where he voice acts, he plays
Hmm.
this character and he really accentuates the way he pauses on things,
Yep.
and it's awesome. But yeah, this whole thing was beautiful, right? I don't know if there's any other way to describe it. All the way through, of course, you're worried. Is this that kind of drive where you took people for a drive? You know, they're talking. But John Turturro, to me, the weird part was the way Irving just gives himself up to it.
Yes, that's what I wanted to exclamation point underscore whatever the term is he seems defeated and happy and sad, but he goes with it. He lets Bert just do. He doesn't resist,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
really
and he's even got a
strange, man.
grin when he's on the train. And but then I'm thinking, who was Irving calling? What was his plan?
Yeah.
Is he want to go to the testing? Is that
That's
where
Yep,
is there a plan here? Or are they
there
like,
has to
or is
be.
this the end of, or are
you
we
know
gonna see him ever again?
the first time I watched it, it felt like this was Of Mice and Men or something, and Chris Walken was going to put him out of his misery. The second time I watched it, I
Yeah.
just had a flashback to what I had said a couple episodes ago,
Lenny.
where I thought, yeah, where I thought that Irving left that stuff out, so they found it, like left the notes out and stuff. I think this is part of Irving's plan.
Totally.
The second time I watched it, I think it is for sure. I think it's his plan to get back to the
I
floor.
agree with you, Andy. And almost felt like we had an idea before, which is how many times have they been through this before?
Hmm.
And that felt to me at the end, it felt like Irving was when he's sitting on that train, and I have to call out the amazing job of matching. Now I know it's probably CGI, but matching that sunset to three or four different separate characters, right? Like at the end of the episode, but that we start with that gorgeous sunset with him on the train and he's just kind of smiles and it's almost like he's crying, but it's like if I got the feeling that he was saying to himself, it finally worked.
Yep.
Like we broke through.
Yep.
We broke through. And that there was a feeling of that he had given himself over to not like the 76ers, but the process of whatever was going to happen on that trip, right? He just
Hopefully
gave
nothing the
himself
rest of the
over
show
to
is
it.
like the 76ers.
And then Joel Embiid
Joel
comes
Embiid's gonna
out
show
after,
up.
Yeah.
Tickets
and he
here,
like
tickets. You need to bunch of tickets here.
he goes down to
Extra,
pick him
extra.
up, but then his back hurts and he can't. He has to sit down and
Yeah,
not
and
play that game.
See,
it's
I
Um,
got a different feeling.
that's how I felt. Really,
I want to feel what you felt because that means Irving will continue.
let's feel
Uh,
each other's
well,
felt
we
though.
could, but it's a kid show. I got a feeling that he because he says I've never been loved, and I
Yes.
think he finally in that moment
Yeah.
by Bert putting him on the train and not killing him or not disposing of him is just kind of like, wow, he does love
He
me.
loved
He's
me.
trying to get me out of here. And I think he's
That's
a
enough.
tired man. And
Yeah.
I felt like he's like, finally, I feel this way. And that's the last thing I'm going to feel as I go off into the sunset. That's what I
Ooh.
got. I saw it more of an ending to
Well,
Irving, not a beginning.
I could accept that.
that
That
was
was
I
beautiful
don't know if I
stuff.
yeah.
want it, but that's what I felt. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely more of how I felt the first time. It was more the second time where I was just trying analyzing it more, and like you said, that's when I start thinking about like what you said before about the we still don't know who he's working with, and there's still a lot of stuff about him we don't really know, and why was he trying to find out what was going on? I mean,
Right.
I'd be surprised if we didn't see him again. I mean, it may not be till the end of next season or something, but I think we will
Yeah,
see him
I'm
again.
worried. I'm worried we're not going to get as much Irving, and I don't
But
know.
but that might open up a whole nother part of the show for us
Yeah.
because that train, that shot was amazing too when the train's going
So
into the
good.
distance. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
guys, didn't it look apocalyptic to you? Like there was nothing out in that distance?
Yep.
Well, he says the train, this is the longest it'll, I guess not the longest it will go, the
Yeah,
furthest you can
this will
go.
take it the
Yeah.
furthest away from Kier as you can go, or
It
something
just
like
gave
that.
me that feeling though,
Yeah,
right? Like
but like
maybe we're
where
gonna
would he get off? Does the train go
yes.
over the edge?
Yeah.
Does it
But Solo,
these
maybe we'll
other
see
towns?
other towns, a non-separate, like people who are not into this. We're not going to be in Kier anymore.
Yeah.
We're not going to be in Salt's
Salt's
Neck.
elbow or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to be somewhere where people are like, Severance sucks. You were there? You live there? Like, I want to go outside the bubble.
But it did have kind of an apocalyptic,
It
almost
did. Yeah.
hellscape kind of feel to it. Not
What's
completely
that?
that way, but
What's that show on USA with Jennifer Connelly? Where they're
Snowpiercer.
yeah, where they're on a train.
oh yeah.
That's what it reminded me. Yeah, Solo's like Snowpiercer.
Dude, finished last season finished on AMC.
Was it good? Should I
Yeah.
watch it?
I mean it's not great, but it's a good show.
Okay. The movie
I
was
enjoyed
fun.
it because I love Jennifer Connelly, so
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll watch
I am
Inventing with the Abbots, the series or whatever, you know.
I will watch Jennifer Connelly just sit in a chair and I'll just
I
that
am
sounded
right
really
now.
creepy.
I was gonna say you
Um,
have. So what's the
Oh, Solo's got her there in the chair.
She's right there.
Solo did his first YouTube joke. Look, it was a visual thing. I like it. All right. Yeah, that whole thing was beautiful to me. The way they put their heads together and they got so close. It for me, it was definitely like full circle from when he did that with Dylan,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And when
Yeah, I
they did
forgot
it
about the
with
Dylan
each
thing.
other in the Severed Floor when they
Yeah,
met.
where they
Yes.
kind of
And
touched pinkies or yeah.
yeah, and that's what this episode felt like, guys. It felt like the culmination of so much we saw up to this point, especially in season one, and
Hmm.
that they're starting to open the new window to what's to
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it felt very like finale-esque. I mean, maybe not so much the impact with a big clown, the cliffhanger when you see Cobell lit up the way she is. But it felt like the transition of, okay, now we're really going to be headed towards some crazy shit.
Oh wow, Bill Cava went off here. He put some lyrics to a Hadestown song. I've never heard it before. And then he put the picture. He's got me feeling it. If you ride that train, ride that train. If
Before
you
we get
ride
off
that train to the end of the
The
line
train.
the
where the
the
sun don't shine.
Whoa, Axel's his YouTube fetish with trains.
Now I'm trying to read for Bill Cava there. But I'm sorry, what were you saying,
I was
Ando?
gonna say before we get off the Bert thing too,
Yeah,
I
let's
thought
keep on it.
so he was actually severed, right? I mean, I got the impression that he was, even the way he was talking to Irving on this one, that
Yes,
he
he
actually was.
was.
So he's working for Lumen as an outie and an innie, which I think is very interesting.
Well, I
Yeah.
think what happened was he retired from his bad guy Audi
From his
Lumen
low-level
job.
Lumen enforcer or goon.
Yes. And so this puts into perspective a lot of what his husband talked about at that
Yeah,
dinner.
yeah.
Because when he was saying he was a naughty boy or right, like that kind of stuff,
Yes.
I think at the time we said it could be, hey, he did bad stuff or like he was maybe more sexually active
Hmm.
than his partner had been, right? Like he was living in the
Yeah, and
village renting
he wanted to
videos
be
from World
severed so he
Video.
could be innocent,
Yeah,
which
so
I
it,
also
we
thought is I never thought of it this way either, but innocent, innie, that's kind of a nice little
that is.
I never put that together either until Walken said that. But yeah,
But
just a
that is what he wanted to wipe himself clean
hmm
from. It wasn't bad like relationship stuff. It was that he
yeah.
helped hurt people for Lumen. And his husband was upset about that. And that, what was his name again?
Fields.
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 It makes Fields a much more understandable character now, doesn't it? He
Hmm.
doesn't
Hmm.
seem like such a prude or such a what it seems like now that we know that. But then this is also a beautiful moment for Bert too, because now he makes a decision on the outside to be a good person and not to make this one of the times where he hands him over to Lumen, but a time where he lets him go. And
Yeah.
that is a growth for both of them, right? Like, and he sits there too. I like the way he lets him go and he just sits there. And
Yeah.
then a
Sits on
little
the
bit
bench after.
later,
Yep.
En voyage,
yeah.
buddy. Uh, That's why Ando, I don't think Irv's being sent to the testing, because I think that's what he's done in the past with
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
So
Okay,
this
yeah,
one I think is
that's
a true get the
yeah.
hell out of here.
I agree, Solo. I
Yeah.
agree. He let him
I
go.
actually think I like that better than him going to the testing floor. I
Yeah,
deplay think either one is still possible, but I like that I like that idea better of
yeah.
him
I mean, because they got to
escaping.
have more testing,
Yeah,
play. Because why would he go on a train? Why not just take
yeah.
him to the
Yeah.
Lumen building? But
That's beautiful. I'm trying to look through our see if anyone had anything to say about this else on our
I love how Bert
Facebook.
justified what he said there. I just because I jotted this down. I never hurt anyone. I want you to know that. I drove people places. I didn't ask what happened to them once they got there. I was
yeah,
only the
yeah.
driver. I'm like,
I was
that
thinking
really.
of Yellowstone, and actually, if you watch 1923 now, the origin of the border of like Wyoming and Montana where they dump bodies because there's, you know, I was thinking of that.
I had the thought of Dylan in season one saying, "Bert, that guy's a fuck," and I'm like that line there. I'm like, yeah, Dylan was right.
Well,
Um,
it's funny when Dylan goes, I guess I'm an asshole down here. I'm like, what do you mean you guess? You are. We love you, but you are an
Yes.
asshole. Calling someone a fuck that you don't know, but
Uh,
might be justified.
yeah.
let me see. Oh, I want to say that Gina had a very interesting comment. That scene with Helena and the egg being divided and not really eaten. Egg being divided equals cells multiplying, no appetite, early pregnancy. Kind of a stretch, but still entirely possible. That's what I was kind of saying about that scene. She put that into
Mhm.
perspective. But back to the Burton Irving thing, I thought this was really beautiful. We've all in our lives, tell me guys, I know I've had a moment where
I thought you were reading copy right now for a commercial,
no,
like you were transitioning
no,
into it.
no, it's just the voice. I have you not had like we're all hetero dudes, we all like women. Before we were married, like haven't you had a moment with a woman like that where you were like, I really want to be with you right now, but we can't do this? And I don't know, it really, from my own personally, the way they got so close to each other and they kind of had to just trust that the emotions were there and let it go at that was something that I definitely related to pre Mary Joe Folo. Solo, Ando, you? Solo's
Well,
like, nah, I always went for it.
no, it's funny because I didn't early in my life, I didn't handle breakups like a movie, like where it's like, yes, we can't be together.
Oh,
You know,
I did. I was so overly dumb and romantic.
Oh,
Solo,
will you
yeah,
just pull out the
everything.
napalm and torch everything in sight, or?
Solo was like, no, he was a ghoster.
uh,
He just was like, oh, who? What?
yeah, no, that definitely happens. But in my serious relationships, well, there were circumstances why those ended. Not we
Oh,
just, I guess my high school girlfriend, my first love, going to college
yeah,
and then coming back, and
yeah,
then we lasted like a semester, and then we had to depart ways because it
yeah.
just wasn't going to work. I guess that's the closest. I feel being older, it would be more like that for me, where I wouldn't get it would be easier to let someone go for mature reasons than it was in my
Huh.
20s or even my 30s.
I understand.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
But because it's weird because me, my wife now, who I love, my soulmate, if we had to divorce because of whatever, it would hurt, but I would want her to be happy. It's probably the first
yes,
time I'm mature
totally.
enough to be like, I want her to be happy, and if I'm not doing it for her, then I want you to be happy. Where at 25, I'd be like, why don't you want to be with me, dude?
Yeah. Let's
So
do it. The world's our oyster. We can make
yeah,
it. We can do whatever we want. It's just us.
because I
Like that
mean,
kind of attitude.
think about that as we transition to Dylan and Gretchen. What's going on
Oh
there?
That's what I
God.
was
Where
gonna say.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that this thing with Burton Irving, I don't have really a situation like that, but I could relate to that. I have been in that situation with Dylan and Gretchen, much more similar to that situation before.
Wait a
So
second. Your wife was cheating on you with you,
no,
Ando?
no, no,
I
not
gotta
that
hear this
part, not
story.
that part. But yeah, just the whole. I can't remember how exactly he says it, but and she does like, well, you got plenty to offer, and da 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 da, da," and I'm like, oh, this. Oh, I was just
oh
Oh,
that whole
yeah,
scene
you
was
got
just
plenty.
like,
That you
oh,
got plenty to offer. Yeah, but
that's
not you. I
Yeah.
want
That's
you
the
right
other
now.
side of it. That's the
That's the
other
one that I'm
side of
like,
it.
oh my
Yep.
God, this is tearing. This is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, let's transition out of let's see if when we'll see Bert and Irving again. I have a feeling that Irving is a part of a bigger story. I still feel that way past the emotions. We'll see.
I hope so.
But yeah,
Well,
that Dylan stuff was
I
really
had one more thought quick
heartbreaking.
on that, just
Oh, go ahead, buddy.
after you said that. Solo, maybe you are right that part of the reason he's smiling is because he finally got out of there. And that's what he's been trying to do the whole time. And
Yeah.
this was the way to do it, is to make Bert a relationship and be like, now I'll let you escape. And maybe they weren't letting him escape for so long. And he finally was able to get out. That could be
Maybe he
too.
was tied down to whatever mission, whatever. We don't know
Mhm.
if he was working for someone, probably, or working,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
he's just tired.
Yeah,
He's tired.
you're right about that. It's also, guys, in this episode, we really have Bert, Milchek, Cobell, even Miss, is it Wong? Is that how you pronounce
Wong,
Wong.
not
Yep.
Wang. It's Wong.
Wong.
Everybody
Oh,
Wong Chung tonight, not
Yeah.
I
Wang
like
Chung.
that. Thank you. All of them pretty much turning against Lumen,
Mhm.
right? And and making decisions based on true emotion, not the cure cult bullshit, and trying to reach people on that level. And I mean, those scenes, when you have the Dylan scene, the Milchick scene with Mark on the phone, even the Miss Wong and Dylan scene is like, and then all the Cobell stuff, really powerful, standing up for real love, real friendship, real characters and feeling
Standing up for
against.
yourself, even in a lot of
Yeah,
cases.
yes, exactly. So I thought that the Dylan stuff was, when she told him, I was kind of shocked. That really took me back. She's like, I
Yeah.
kissed your innie. And he was like, what the fuck? What? He's so good, man. You
Oh,
know what I realized is we know nothing of his Audi. We know so much, right? Like we've seen Irving, Mark, uh,
just that he can't hold on to a job
We
and that
yeah,
only
he
got
takes care of his
third
kids.
party info,
yeah,
not from him.
yep,
We only got what has been spoken about him from his wife and
yeah.
from different. But
We saw
my
him on the
big
job
thing,
interview.
Yeah,
That
that's what
was
I
the
say.
yeah,
longest we
And
saw him.
that's about it.
and he
And taking
seemed,
care of the kids a little bit. But
yeah,
Yeah.
and he seemed good, but then they brought up the severed thing and he couldn't, But my big thing I took from this Dylan Gretchen thing, and give me a second here. Okay, that's enough. Um, I think this was Milchek's plan all along, and I'm going to tell you why. The biting, him treating Milkshake like
oh,
crap, by him taking him away from the group, setting up these cordial little, or what do you call them in prison? I forget, conjugals.
conjugal visit. There
Conjugal
you go.
visit. Yeah.
Did Milchek with, I got to believe Milchek knew this would happen. That once an innie gets involved, an outie, like stuff was going to boil. And I think this is him getting back at Dylan. And that's why they gave him his release so fast and not wait so long and be denied. Because I'm also wondering that how could they release him so quick like this? This was Milchek's decision. I think that was his plan all along to get back at Dylan to screw it up because what else was going to happen? What are your thoughts? You can disagree
Well,
or
and no, I
agree.
I like that idea because of the whole, especially that this was the part of the plan. Because I mean, why else would you introduce like when they at the very beginning of the season and we took the cameras away and we did all this and it's all for you guys to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
needed to build in other things to keep them there,
That
and they knew they
that's
were
it.
getting too chummy and the
Yep.
divide and conquer kind of thing. I still don't know though if there was a line, and I wish I would have looked at the contract. He was checking off all the boxes at closer, but there was a line in that first episode when they said you can leave, but I think he said something to the effect of this was a one-time offer. If you don't accept it now, you can't leave. So I'm wondering if maybe and the other question I have is, will his outie just be like, screw you, I'm going to stick it to you. You have to keep going back to work.
Well, he may not want that because
Interesting.
he doesn't want
Yeah.
Because just the
the
same way Helena
relationship to
did with
happen.
Helly, where Helena made her come back to work Is
Oh,
Audi
his
Dillon
Audi has to
gonna
work.
make? Yeah, his Audi would
Yes.
have to approve it. Yeah, too.
Oh,
That's what
that
I agree there, Andy. That's
I
one
like
thing because
that.
it's like, hey, you know what? There was another innie who wanted to leave. Her name
Hmm.
was Helly, and that didn't work out too well for her either.
Yeah,
Remember, she got a little video, she got forced to come
and
back. So it
I'm
was not. Go ahead,
I'm
Andy.
almost positive in that first episode that Milchek said this is a one-time offer to leave to those innies.
Yeah, because
So
Drummond's like, you got rid of our
Oh,
best refiner, and it's
okay.
like, but I don't think Dylan is Cold Harbor related. I think
no,
it's
I don't think so either.
It's
Yeah,
just
that's
getting the
Mark.
team
It's
around
getting
Mark to
Mark. Yeah.
finish.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter at this point, I
Yeah.
don't think.
I would agree with that. You said something. Oh, Solo, I didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to comment on your idea that this was the setup from the beginning. I 100% agree with you. When they first went to the room, they were being watched. They said to them, don't talk about personal things. But then all of a sudden, they're all alone and making out, and nobody's saying
And no one
anything.
cared.
Yep.
So, of course, you're absolutely right. It was to distract Dylan, it was to keep him there. It was to, right? It was to make sure that he wasn't helping out with any plan that Mark and Helly have,
Right.
but he was staying there, but like Mark wanted. And so I agree with that completely.
Plus, Wong apologized. She was monitoring them, and then I don't think she was. So that's a
Right.
Milchek getting her away
Yep.
and almost seeing her fail
And
at
maybe
that
why
job.
Milchek was a little pissed when he said, that's enough. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
it was her saying that inspired Milkshake to tell Drummond to fuck off and eat shit. Because that was the exact scene after. When I watched it the second time, I was like, I wanted
Right.
to trace when Milchek, what brought him to that point, because we've seen it in other episodes, we've been talking about it, but that occurred just before. That's why I was surprised he let her leave at the end. I thought Milchek was going to be like, Miss Huang, we want you to stay, but I guess maybe that wasn't.
I thought he was going to do that for a different reason because I don't think that was his breaking point. I think his breaking point was I think he realized Drummond was the one that told him not to use big words. Because Drummond says speak with less, and I think it's one of those
Oh,
things where it's this has actually
Hmm.
made me think even more that Drummond is related to the Egans. Because I
oh, he
think this
has
is
to be. That's
we are
his.
talking this way. You are supposed to be like us, but don't talk like us. Don't be too much like us.
Yeah.
Follow what we're
Well,
saying, and
that was a
not.
very racially intoned thing when
I
he
thought
said
so
that
for
to him.
sure.
Yeah.
There's no, unless you're completely blind to American history or history, to have this big white guy say to him, use
Yeah.
smaller words
Hmm.
to a black man standing in front of him. Fuck no, dude. Come
And
on. That
And think
was,
about guys when he's like again and he's going through. That's exactly what Milkshake does. Of course, when she's breaking the toy to
hmm
take away to sacrifice a material item, especially to almost her graduating. It's like you're not a kid anymore. We're moving your bed out of your parents' house to this new place. But like it almost
exactly.
like Milkshake saw it being done to him, and he's like, "What am I doing? I'm
Perfect
doing the same
solo.
thing to these
Yep.
people." So I think we're getting a not an evolution, but with Milchek, I think things are starting to spin for him,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited. Whether he
He's
just
waking up.
conforms or
Yeah.
is he waking up? Is he getting
Yep.
Yeah.
reborn in a sense, realizing the portraits that were changed to
Yeah.
suit my comfort, which made it worse. Me not taught, all that stuff. He's ready to like go mayhem, I
Yeah.
Hmm.
think. Shout out
I
to my buddy
agree.
Joe Lynch, who directed that movie, and just go off in the office building. Um,
I like how the head was the same one that Cobell had.
yes,
Yes.
big time.
That was super cool. And that also shows a consistency of time. Like they've been doing this to people for like
Yes.
a long fucking time. They've been
Yep.
doing this to people. Yeah, the Milchek stuff too, leading up to the conversation he has, and maybe we can talk about it from Milchek's side instead of Mark's side. I felt that was when that iceberg photo to me, whenever I see that, what I immediately think of is BTW guys, A dash Hustler calling me on my phone during a podcast. Not going to take it, but shout out to Hustler. Just wanted to give
Tell him if
that
he wants
shout
to
out.
talk, go to YouTube and you can watch us live.
I'll
Leave
just,
a
I'll just,
comment.
I'll just open the phone and go
Yeah.
to YouTube, motherfucker.
Yeah, leave a comment. Yeah.
We're YouTubers now.
Oh
Anyway,
God, don't say that out
I
loud.
know.
You're an
Anyway,
influencer now
oh God,
Yeah.
for middle-aged men
please tell
across
me
the
no.
nation.
Yeah, dad bod influencer. What was I talking about? Oh,
Oh,
the
sorry.
conversation with Mark. Whenever I see that picture of the iceberg, what do you think? What's under
Titanic.
the water, right? Oh, you think
Yeah.
Titanic?
Oh,
Okay.
I
under the
don't.
water.
You
What
know.
do,
I like
what do
that
you
better.
think? What do you think,
Real
Andy?
quick, Axel.
Oh yeah.
What? Because for some reason, I didn't notice what that picture was because he got very emotional
Yes.
after staring at that and then calling Mark. Please
Yeah.
promise me you're gonna come
Yep.
in tomorrow. Like that was it. But anyway, so I wasn't. I don't know
That's
why I didn't see that. So it was an iceberg.
yes. Is an
Okay.
iceberg. Andy, what do
I
you think when you
I
see
still
the
think
iceberg?
Titanic.
I like your idea of there's way more underneath.
Yeah.
When he stopped and stared at it, I paused it when I rewatched it. I'm like, it took me a while to even figure out what it was. And I hadn't really I was like, this has to be important, but I couldn't quite think of something that was a good
It's
It's
almost
reason
like I
for it.
miss home,
um
That's
but I don't know what home is.
yeah.
interest. See, there is an old saying.
When
I'm
A
trying to
dash
look for
calls
it
you
now.
while you're potting.
It's a poem or something of that nature. The iceberg principle. What's below the surface? When an iceberg is floating free in the ocean, only a small part of the whole is actually visible.
Hmm.
So that is kind of like a metaphor
I was gonna
for
say
Milchek,
metaphor.
right? And it's
Yeah.
a metaphor for the innies and outies. And it's
Yeah.
a metaphor for his emotions that he has been pushed down and they are cold and dark and hidden underwater. And he looks at that. And when Mark says to him, it's just a job, Mr. Melchick, right? Isn't that what
Mm,
it's a
That was so
balance? Isn't
amazing.
that what Lumen's all about? And then he was looking at that iceberg and he almost had a tear in his eye
he did.
Yeah,
because
he
Yeah.
did.
yeah, he's like,
That's
I'm
so
that
great,
iceberg.
Axel.
Mark's that iceberg.
Yeah.
We all are.
I literally think that was his tipping point
Oh
when
my
he says
God.
that
Yeah.
there's supposed to be about isn't family life what Lumen is all
There you go.
about, and
Yeah.
this
Oh
is
yeah.
I
The
think that
things you
was
don't
his.
see.
Mhm.
It's like a Facebook post when they say, you never know what someone's going through
Yeah.
that day
Yep.
when they posted some asshole comment to you. Give
Yep.
them a break, you know? And I think that that's interesting to me because I think that this show really has something to say about work and life and capitalism and industry and what is real when a corporation says something as opposed to what we do as people. Like, haven't you ever been on the phone with someone at a company or you're on their customer service line and you just say to them, hey, I'm a human. I just want to figure out my problem. I know you're working your job. I do this all the time to customer service people. I say, hey, I know you're working your job, but I'm just a human. Like, I'm here trying to make lunch for my kid. Like, you bring it to the human level and go past the corporate bullshit. And I think Milchek is so corporate. His
Yeah.
speech, the way
Yeah.
he dresses, he wants the thing changed on it. These are important things to him, just like with Dylan, how he wants his little staplers and his little plaques and his
His
rubber
finger traps that
bands.
he turns into wedding rings. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, and
right.
with Miltrick, it's even
Oh,
more so
that's a
because
metaphor if there ever was one, right?
yeah,
A finger trap into a wedding ring,
yeah. Well, like
especially in this show, though, too, right?
the stuff with Milchick too, especially this season. I mean, we've seen him at all hours of the night doing stuff, driving on his bike
He's
to
a
go
company man.
doing company stuff, taking his weekend and going on the
Works
Ortbo
for
and all this.
ESPN.
He's
Yeah.
all full, yeah, full
He's out in
time.
Bristol.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Not far from there, actually.
Yeah, that whole scene was that was great. His acting in this season has been
Yeah.
amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody's has, but he's
I'm
really the
so I'm
breakout.
so glad that we're getting more milkshake.
Yeah.
Because it was ever since he danced, I was like, I love this dude, this actor, and
Yeah.
everything. And I'm so glad he's become a bigger part because he's so interesting to me.
Hmm.
There's so much like when we go back and rewatch this season, there's gonna be so many character moments with him that I think, I mean, we see it and whatever, but it's gonna hit us another way like this show, when you rewatch and you know what's going to happen at the end, that just how it all hits you. It may hit you different, but I'm so looking forward to his journey. And I hope it's not like a Desmond Echo thing where John Turturro doesn't want to do the show, so they're giving more to Milkcheck instead. Like, but I just feel like they're a little parallel in a sense. They seem so different, but they, either character could really, I think, do a lot of damage to Lumen if they
Yeah,
chose to. Where I think Irving is tired, and I think Milchek's ready for a fight.
I do too.
Yep.
I love what a great actor too, and shout out to our boys at Double P Podcast with Milkcheck Men. I love that they named it
That
that. He's awesome. We talked
one
about it the first time we talked about this show. We were like, he's the hidden gem of the show.
He is the
one
hidden
of the
gem.
one of the things that Ben Stiller said on that is they were talking about the eat shit scene and him specifically and saying how he starts and he's like, allow me to say it monosyllabically. And he said that one of the takes he delivered the entire speech in that pattern of speech. Like the monosyllabically eat and he said it was
Oh, and
amazing and
that
he said they almost used that take but it was like it was seemed to be a little too much but
Yeah.
he raved about the actor for a long time.
oh, there's a
It's fun to listen
reason.
to.
Yeah,
You
He's
know,
awesome.
interestingly enough, because she's been such a part of this journey with Melchek, we haven't seen what's her name? What's her name?
Natalie.
Natalie. Thank you. We haven't seen
Yep.
Natalie. And I think that might be a key to the final unlocking of Milchek, right? I think
Agreed.
Natalie might be his Gemma in a sense, or what he needs. They together, maybe they can do
Yeah,
that,
there's
Well,
some dynamic there, I think.
or
think
not.
about this. Think
Maybe,
about this. When they do have that interaction a few episodes ago, when they're kind of talking about the paintings and stuff,
yeah,
and Natalie doesn't go there, what if she did go there? What would that spark in Milchek? You
yes,
know what I mean?
yep,
Because it's someone with the same, I mean, they have similarities and how Lumen's treating them and everything going on. Would it take her to do that? Or is he now doing it on his own? Is it just
yeah.
simply he's discovering it and maybe he doesn't need that push?
I agree,
Though,
Solo. Maybe she's an example of what he doesn't want to
doesn't
be
want to
at the
be.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
there you
I,
go.
I want to give a
Yep.
shout out to Alex, who's awesome and who has given us so much great feedback throughout this season. He says, "Did you guys catch the Twilight Zone reference in the episode name? And the code talk between Cobell and the security guard at baby camp was pretty much a plot recap of
Yep.
the Twilight Zone episode. If you thought their conversation sounded weird, the episode was about sentient shopping mall mannequins."
And it was also
Oh,
titled The After Hours.
yes.
Yeah,
That
the
episode of Twilight
After
Zone is the same
Hours.
Scheiße.
title. Some of that
I
dialogue was
remember
lifted
that
directly.
episode
Yeah. Some of it's lifted directly. Some of
when
the
the
dialogue, excuse
mannequins,
me, is lifted
because
too. Yep.
that is the inspiration for a very famous 80s movie that gave us all boners
Perfect.
when we were kids. No,
Oh,
when the mannequin comes alive.
I
Remember
know, I
mannequin?
know. I just was bringing back perfect
Oh
because no one ever
shit,
talks about
Solo. I
perfect.
didn't get. Oh god
Oh,
damn! I
and you
ruined
know
the
what?
callback.
Since
I
you
love
brought that
that.
back, that was not Olivia Newton-John. That was the fabulous Jamie Lee Curtis
Oh, that was
singing that.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Oh, what was the recap? What was the reteaming of Olivia Newton-John and
Grease.
John Travolta? No, after
Uh,
Grease, they did a movie that was like I thought they did an
Oh,
R-rated movie
no,
together.
they did. And I see the poster and I can't remember
It
the
wasn't
title.
Xanadu. No, he wasn't in
No, he wasn't in
Xanadu.
Xanadu. Oh
I
yeah,
thought it
I
was
know
a
what
workout movie.
I thought so too. It's Jane Fonda's workout. I don't
I don't
remember.
know, but now that you reminded me that that was
I
Jamie Lee
guess I'm gonna look.
Curtis,
I'll
I
look
now
it up.
remember that movie very specifically. And
Still haven't
speaking of
seen it.
boners, let's go back to what we were talking about before.
yes, enough
Growing
enough
pains, growing
perfect
So,
pains.
perfect
Alex,
podcast.
thank you for that. That is an awesome connection.
Yeah.
And sentient shopping mall mannequins, innies,
Yeah.
or people who feel like they're just there to be used by a corporation to sell something. I think that's a really interesting little thing there. Now, if we can can we jump ahead a little bit with a John Locke question on our Facebook page? Is that
Let's
okay,
do it.
guys?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
no. Oh, wait a minute.
John.
No, I don't think it's okay.
Oh, well,
What would happen?
I would say whatever you want. So
Okay, no, no. I just wanted to see.
I'm just a sentient mannequin. One of the
Perfect.
best episodes of the show, John Locke says, a longtime member and feedback giver, I should say. One of the best episodes of the show, but I've got a burning question. What is going on with bringing pregnant women with James kids to the severed cabin? Do the mothers become permanently severed so nobody can out his transgressions? And are the children adopted by Lumen? Is Helena, I should say, one of these
Helena.
kids? Is Drummond one of these kids? We're all Kier's children.
Is
That,
Rickon one of these kids?
yeah. Is Rickon one of these kids? There's a couple other. I said great questions. Gina says, sounds like Helena isn't the only Egan who's had sex with a severed person in effort to procreate. And where is Helena's mother and Iceland's mother, as I said? And let's face
Yep.
it, Rickon has got to be their missing sibling. You guys had it.
Yeah.
Kim says, I hope Cobell isn't Helena's mother. I almost couldn't bring myself to type that. I am also very worried that Devin is tied up in this deeper than we know. John says, Devin, really? It never crossed my mind. Kim says it's just a vibe, like she is somehow testing his Audi.
I got that vibe in this episode a lot with Devin. It was the first time I ever questioned her genuineness.
Why did she want to call Miss Cobell so bad? A
Yep.
woman who stole her fucking kid.
Yep.
Because she's the only one because she's the only one that she knows that could possibly help. Is
I
what I
agree,
think.
but I
That is
still,
true. Where I got the vibe
yeah.
even more so was when they get to the cabin and Mark comes in, which I also thought was a cool callback to when Helly tried to escape in season one, where she keeps going out into the hallway and just keeps coming back in, and we were always like, "What the hell is that about?" I think it's the exact same thing. If you guys remember that episode way back in season one with Helly
Hmm.
trying to escape,
Hmm.
but when he comes back into the cabin and the way she's talking to him makes it seem like she know. I mean, and maybe they did it 100 times. I don't know, but it just seemed
Yeah.
like she was way too familiar with the process they were trying to do.
Yeah, the other one will come right back
Yeah.
in. That was just like the
Yeah.
floor. It's Two of a Kind, 1983, the movie with Travolta and
Oh,
Olivia Newton-John.
there we
There
go.
you
Two of a
go.
Kind.
Two of
Anyway,
a kind. Did it have any workout in it, Solo? Was she working out in it at all? Or?
Well, we know you
I
were Axel watching it, so
yeah, you were working it out. You were
Oh,
working it out.
oh, that was
Okay,
my
so
severed personality.
this brings up a big point for me in this episode where I was frustrated and where I'm leaning to you guys just for some clarification and hopefully so I don't have to be severed this weekend. So
Need
Devin
it.
finds out that the one pregnant woman that didn't recognize her was severed and whatnot at this place, the cabin, whatever. Now, I was like, well, Mark's awake. He must be integrated, but he's not because he doesn't remember. Like, Cobell says things to him that he doesn't remember, and he would know if he was integrated. So I guess it hasn't completed yet. Then I'm like, why did Devin think going to the cabin would fix this? Then I'm thinking, wait, Mark was at the cabin, but he didn't get severed. Nothing happened. But then with the whole Cottage Five thing, is there only certain cabins that are
well,
you
and that
can
was
get severed
before
in?
the last time he was at the cabin. That was before he had the reintegration thing.
No, I know, but if he's reintegrated, how can he get
Right.
severed?
He still had the chip, Ando. So what Solo is saying is, are
Yeah.
these cabins places that anyone with the chip, when they walk through it, it triggers it?
Yeah.
They don't need to have the
Well, and
machine where they choose and do it. This cabin automatically, when you walk through the door, it does you, right? But what I was saying, Solo, we had a little chat offline about
Yeah.
this or off the pod, whereas it was my understanding that this was a specific special cabin.
the
And the
thing,
cabin that Mark was in before, because they knew he was severed, they programmed that cabin not to cause a severance.
well, and
She was in different cabins, Devin, than he was at the other
the
one.
other thing,
That's what I'm
the
saying.
other thing to remember
Simply.
here, I think, and it's kind of like what you're saying, Solo, is Ragabi. They said that to her, and Ragabi said, "I went back and took this out of my notes." She said, "You mean the Demona birthing retreat? They are two completely different things." So what the hell is Cobell trying to do there? It's not the same thing Ragabi was trying to do, because Ragabi purposely said we're not going there because that's not the same thing. I don't something there
Yes.
really doesn't add up. That's why I don't trust
That's
Cobell
why I
at
was
all.
getting confused. Well, you're not
Okay.
so much confused, just like, because
Yeah.
I'm like, I
I think
really,
she knows more.
Oh, she
of
definitely.
course
Well,
she does. Of
Mark
course
Yeah.
even
she
says
does.
she hasn't told us shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think Solo I'm sorry I cut you off, pal, but I think that it's the only explanation we can get, right? Which is
For
that,
right, for what we know, yeah.
yeah, is that Cobell knows much more than Ragabi knows. And the conversation she had about the cabin, when you cross-reference it with the Twilight Zone movie, it would make you think it wakes anyone up, right? Like it's like a fail-safe cabin that any mannequin, it wakes them up, right? It makes them sentient. So that would be all that I could understand. But the bigger question is, and we had chatted about this as well, and Ando, if I'm moving past any point you want to make,
No, go
please
ahead.
tell
Go
me.
ahead.
What the fuck is up with the reintegration? It's so haphazard. And the way Mark acted when he went through that door was almost as if his chip was working properly as it was before. I would have expected a little bit more flashes in this episode, a little bit more Petey type shit. But the explanation for that could be that Ragabi actually has done better and the flushing of the chip that she tried worked.
Worked. Yeah.
And it opened it up somehow, but there's something else that needs to be unlocked, right? Like it stopped the craziness that was happening to him, but something else has to occur. And we see only 3 steps into the cabin, so who knows what's going to
And
happen next
like I say, I
episode.
really think Cobell and Ragabi have two different missions. I don't think they're trying to do exactly the same thing.
I think that's very
And
plausible.
just because I'm thinking about it when you said maybe it's only certain cabins, if it that almost has to be because if they all do this, then why and how was Devin in one of these cabins as well to give birth?
Very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, Rickon has to be involved somehow. He has to be.
Well, because
Um,
both
th- oh,
I
go
don't know.
ahead.
I'm convinced that he is.
because Devin and Mark, when they went to the cabin when she was given birth, they weren't they weren't severed. That
Mm-mm.
didn't happen in that cabin. Um,
Maybe it's
that's
just
why
because they're there.
well, but I was see, I'm still not upset, but with Devin, how she's like, "Oh, we got to go to the cabin." It's like, but you were in a cabin that didn't happen. Why do you think going to the cabin is gonna
Well, she saw the woman
right?
in the cabin. But you're right, Solo. I think Devin's behavior has been suspicious. If it never gets explained, and I'll be okay with it, I'll let it
Especially
go.
now
But it's
calling Cobell,
suspicious.
now
It's
calling
just, yeah,
Cobell, what she was so damn like I was just thinking it's the only option.
yeah.
But does she know? Because why is she mad? You took my baby, and like there's a lot of things that don't add up for me.
Well, it's a mysterious show.
And you know
There
what?
you go.
We haven't seen or heard anything about Eleanor, baby Eleanor either, this whole season.
It's hard to shoot with kids, Andy.
Yeah, but I mean, with kids being
A
such
fake
a
kid. You could do a
with
fake
Could
kids
have a
being
kid.
fake
such a
kid.
big
I
part of
know.
this conversation now and pregnancy and all this,
Yeah.
it's a little odd that that hasn't come up
Well, I
again.
guess Rickon's watching the baby,
Yeah, or
or they
they're
got
That
a new
doing
is
nanny.
something else.
true. Well,
Well,
what do you think about we got into that discussion, but do we think that that reveal that this cabin is specifically for James, you know, offspring or whatnot, I think that does make us think that it could be everybody, right? Like we kind of went past that pretty quick, but it could be a lot of people when you
Mhm.
think about it. And it's maybe not just him. He's not the only Egan, right? So if this is the type of behavior that they condone, um, and it's a woman's security. I think that's something very interesting too, right? That is on purpose. It is a female security guard and it is a woman asking entry to protect a man who uses women to have children without their fucking knowledge, perhaps, right? That's fucked up. But that says something about being complicit and such, right? Like nobody's innocent. I like Ben Stiller. I like the way he wants to set what, like, look at yourself, right? Like we all have to question what's happening here. But
Speaking of
there
women in
was,
uniform too, we also had just a quick point. We also had to confirm that Gretchen is an EMT dispatcher, so she is also in a
yes,
position of maybe not power, but of some kind of authority. So
yeah, yeah, we saw that on a plaque or something before, right? I'm pretty sure we
well, I
had
know we
seen
saw she
that.
had a uniform, but I don't think we ever. Not that that may not end up being anything, but I thought it was
Yeah.
another interesting point.
For some reason, John, we were talking about Rickon too. John Locke says Rickon has money from his parents. He's a trust fund baby. Do we know that? Was that in the show?
I don't remember ever seeing that, but or
I don't
hearing
know.
that.
I'm not sure. He feels
It,
like
it,
that.
I feel if we saw that, if we heard that, it would have been probably a Devin Ricken discussion or one of
Yeah,
the non-dinner parties. Maybe there was a line or something put in there
or Jay
about how
Megan
he
is his
comes from
father, and he
money.
has money there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I know I've heard that, but I can't remember where.
Also, by the way, I just have to thank Grandpa James for all the pictures he posts. They always make me think and make me laugh. He's got a picture of um, Nobody Fucks with the Jesus up there to give us a throwback. He's got a picture of Milchek Sethosaurus. Sethosaurus. I can't even say it.
You know,
Um,
there was something
Merritt
here
Weave,
that
good
Gina brought
stuff.
up that
He's the
we kind of
best.
you
We love
mentioned
you,
it, but we
buddy.
didn't really talk about it either. What do you guys think about the fact that we don't know who any of these moms are? Do you think, or
Yeah,
like there's a popular theory going around that Cobell is Helena's mother, or do you
yeah,
guys think any of this
I've been
stuff is
saying that all along.
possible?
We haven't
Yeah,
seen any parents of
yeah.
anybody. We've
wait.
heard like now we
Well,
know Wong does have, I mean, from Milchek, your parents' home. We're moving the bit. We don't know if the parents
Well,
are live there per
like if
se, but
that would definitely explain why Cobell's mom hated Lumen so much. I mean, there's a lot of things that would. Is that why? I don't know.
Cobell took the baby. Remember when she took the baby? I don't
Yeah.
know. There's a lot of interesting stuff about motherhood and women. And look, there's a
could be less
long
women. Yeah.
history of cults like this
Hmm.
using women as breeding tools,
Hmm.
taking their children away, convincing them, having many wives, lessening them. So this plays along to real history that we've seen and makes perfect sense. And that's why, again, I said I think it was meaningful that the gatekeepers in this sense are two women, because many times in the past we see that, right? It's the
Yep.
same thing with Milchek and what's going on there, right? It's I think that there's an idea here that's being brought up to us, which is we're all like individually we have to stand up. If we're separated into our different groups, that doesn't necessarily mean we all agree, right? Like
Yeah.
just because a woman found out about this doesn't mean all of a sudden it's over because a man was doing bad. Um, I'm trying to look at the other
So I
thing
have,
I'll
yeah.
oh go ahead, buddy.
No, I had another question. When Cobell says, have you completed the file? And then she's
There we
like,
go.
Cold Harbor.
She
Or that,
waits a
That's what I was
really
gonna
long
say.
time to say it too, like a 5 second
and she says,
And
pause.
they
well,
go into a wide shot.
Yeah.
if you completed it, then she's already dead.
Yeah.
Gemma.
Yep.
So like, and then the doctor is upset. Like as much as he wanted to continue to be with the trial, he's upset that it's only at 96%. So like, or he's concerned. So
And the
I'm
already
like,
dead thing too, that also that lies in with what a few episodes ago what Drummond said to Helena or said to Mauer was that once she's finished she's going to be gone. You won't be able to see her again. So that
Yes.
matches
Yeah.
with that completely.
I don't think she's really going to die. I don't think it means that. I question, once again, gentlemen, and I'm going to throw it into the fucking ring. Hate me if you wanna. I don't even trust that the outside world is real. And her dying might mean that she is never the Gemma that he met
yeah,
at the university because that Gemma never fucking existed. And that's maybe that was one of the doors, right? Like her life with
I think you're
Mark
right.
was just as
Yeah.
real as going to the orthodontist or the dentist or wherever the fuck else she went. It wasn't real. And when she says she's dead already, that's what I think she means, not that she's physically dead.
Well, I have two things. That one thing that I just because I happen to think of it now in the credits this week, I don't know if it was in last week as well, but this week for sure, I made to pay special attention because there's been little not spoilers, but little hints. We do see a car submerged in the water, in the frozen water. So I'm guessing we're going to see whatever did happen in this next episode. And I think my other crackpot theory for this next week is there was a line that when Helly is talking to Milchek and talking about the no, when she was like no shit and all that, she says kind of like you and Cobell replace one part with another. I think
Hmm.
Helly might be replacing Gemma in the testing floor next season. I think that's going to be one of the
Oh,
big things at the end of this episode.
Do
oh,
do do do
interesting.
do
And who would
do
be the refiner
do.
for Helly? Would it still
That's
be
a
Mark?
that's a good
Would it
question. It still
be
could be. Yeah, that's a
would
good
it be
question.
Rickon? All of a sudden we're gonna see Rickon in the you not in
They
the
move them on to the next level,
Yeah, that's what I
right?
say. We
Like
could
this
see in the
is,
whole nother level. Yeah,
yeah, like Mark is now, that's what I mean. I would be very surprised to find out that this is the first iteration of what we're seeing.
yeah,
Um, they've had enough time to do it too. If Miss Cobell invented Severance more than 20 something years ago or whatever, right? And
maybe
they
even more.
stole it
Yeah.
from her, they're not just now figure
yeah.
like I
They've been
think that it's
tinkering a long time.
yes, it's advanced stages, and I think that that makes sense.
I
Um,
just feel that because today is the day that'll change the planet or whatever, I do believe this might be the first time they're getting it right, maybe.
Mhm.
I don't,
yeah,
you
I
know what
could
I mean?
believe
Like,
that. I could believe
because if it
that.
was
They're at
just
the end of the
another day of
road.
this happening again, it
Yeah.
would be another great
No,
day. You know what I
totally
mean?
agree with you,
Yeah.
Solo. Totally. But I mean to say is though, if it is, it's at the end of some road. They're not
Right,
just
right,
Yeah,
discovering it, you
yeah.
know?
There was a lot
right,
of stuff that happened
yes.
before to get
Because
there.
Yeah.
they're evidently expecting something to happen that's
Yeah, they
great.
are.
So they must know whether they tested it on a goat, whether they, whatever, or Brienne of Tarth,
Yep.
whatever.
And
Well, and there was when I rewatched that scene from last season last night with Helly talking to Egan. He made a weird comment, and I know we talked about it, but I don't think we talked about it very long. And I think that might be what they're trying to do here. And he says something about you will sit with me at my revolving. I
Right.
think it has to be
yeah.
that. I think this is they're trying to do an extension of life thing or something, and I think that's what they're trying to implant the Kier consciousness or the Jane consciousness into a new body. That has to be what they're doing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Now, if something goes wrong, Ando, will Tom Cruise be running out saying, tech support, tech support?
I will be if he's not.
Oh, that was what a great role. What a great role. Um,
Vanilla.
yes. So interesting. And I have to say, we haven't talked much about Mark, Devin, and Miss Cobell's journey, though a lot of it was we have kind of talked about. A lot of it was sitting in a car and him being grouchy. And I just want to say that his performance this episode as Audi Mark was really fantastic. And he
Yeah.
was just fucking sick of this shit. And the whole line about having brain surgery in my basement, my wife's fuck, and then he wants to leave. And then the conversation that he has with Milchek, man, that was really something else, right? The way he
Mhm.
starts lying. And I'm kind of saying to myself, like, I don't understand what problem he's having right now, right? Like, is it that he didn't want to listen to, it's like, he didn't want to listen to what Cobell said because fuck her. And then he doesn't want to placate Milchik either.
Well, I think with
So
him, again,
it was
feeling
emotional.
helpless, Gemma is locked away. I'm out here. And what are we doing to fricking get her out?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
his objective. And he's just fed up because it's like watching a TV show that gives you little answers here and there, and you want them.
Yeah.
He's frustrated. He's had it. And now he's, because he wants to save his wife. That's his main
Yeah.
objective. And I think the frustration of Cobell talking so slow and not giving answers, he's done. He's
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm done with this shit.
I loved it. I love that conversation with him and Melchek felt so awesome to me. And I would just suspect that those two actors are very pleased with the way it came out because there was so much emotion in it. There was so much realness in it. And I felt like it was the most real we've ever seen both of those characters. And I
That's
just
a great
thought
that's a great point.
Yeah, Adam
Yeah.
Scott was great. He just that his whole
He's
performance
awesome.
as Mark. I never realized Adam Scott, Mark Scout. I thought that that was really, he was just so pissed off the whole time. And it was really, I just felt, because I've been there myself, where it's like someone gives you advice and you know it's the right advice. But in order to take that advice, you kind of have to lower yourself not only to them, but to the person they're giving you advice about. And it's kind of like Mark just broke through. And I think that gives me a good feeling about maybe what we're going to see happen in that cabin with him and Cobell. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's very cool.
Anything else there, Solo, that you wanted to bring up?
I bring on the finale. I want to see this extra long episode. It's going to be 70 plus minutes with credits. And I do know the name of, I'm not going to say it, but I do know the name of the last episode because it popped up on Apple Plus. And
Yeah, I actually don't think
it's,
you can click on the episode without seeing it, so I think
yeah.
it's kind of out there. I don't
But
think that's much of,
but
but
it's not a
you're right.
spoil. It's not a freaking spoiler.
No.
It's what we've been building towards. So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, man, definitely. Oh, you know what I forgot to do this whole time? Check to see if anybody was watching us on YouTube. And Bill Cava was. Yeah, baby. That's
Yeah,
right.
our audience grew by like 50%
Oh,
Nice.
yes,
in one
Bill Cava.
afternoon.
I see you. Um,
Make sure you go back and listen to the beginning, Bill, because we
yeah.
definitely talked about you at the beginning of the
Yeah, right.
We
podcast.
And your
love you, Bill
bagels.
Cava. We love you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give, by the way, now that I'm here, I'm going to give us a thumbs up. So if you're watching on YouTube, next time I'll try to remember that we actually are on YouTube and I'll look
How
at
do we
the,
look it up on YouTube? I'll give a thumbs up while we're doing
just,
it.
here, I can put the link in the show notes here for you, Solo.
Oh,
How do we do the chat thing in here?
well, what's it called?
Watching, Bill, I was just about to read your comment on the Facebook page. Because one thing I do want to bring up is he says, I'm thinking this was a disastrous ending for a few of our characters. Resignation is any suicide, and it was sad to see Dylan G get in the up elevator. Miss Wong's bed is likely being moved to a factory somewhere, and Irving is on the road straight downstairs. Well, we feel good about Irving. We didn't talk about Dylan, though, guys. Is this the end for Dylan? See, I don't think it's the end for Dylan because of what we said, but you guys, do we think it's the end for Dylan?
No.
No, but
Solo?
I will say this, there is a DVR podcast on YouTube that's not us.
What?
They have 18 subscribers. Yeah.
Well, guess what? They're not the real DVR podcast. I'm gonna have to send them a cease and desist. Um, they don't have a. Do they have a logo?
Yeah, it's DVR in green over some trash cans.
Really?
Oh,
I'm gonna have to look them up. It might mean something totally different, though. It might be like direct vehicle realignment
Ooh,
podcast.
Daily DVR with Axel Foley and Justin Thomas.
Oh, there you go.
The old, yeah,
I think that was what was that an old video we had up there?
Top Shelf Fandom podcast.
Yeah,
yeah,
there you go.
that's Justin's.
And also for Miss Wong, do you think we're going to see her again? I feel like we might follow her. I feel like she was introduced for more of a reason just than to humanize Melchek or give us the mystery of Wintertide. I feel like we may actually follow her somehow and see what happens to her.
I think we will see her at some point. I don't know if it'll be for a while though.
Okay. What do you think, Solo?
I don't think we'll see her, but like as a reoccurring right off the bat, but I think we could see her later on in the show, in the series, if they're gonna explore more than
Okay.
here. So I hope so. I liked her.
All right. Well, yeah, let's see. I'm trying to
There,
look at,
while you're
oh,
on her, there is a kind of a fun little tiny Easter egg on that. Well, there's a couple actually for that where she got sent. Svalberg is also another science fiction story that was super popular. They made it into a HBO show not too long ago called His Dark Materials.
Oh
And
yeah.
that
Interesting.
show of major plot point is children being severed. Just saying.
Really?
Yes. It's a major plot
Okay.
point in that series. It's not exactly the same, and they're severed basically to try and it's a religious group trying to create a sin-free world is basically what it involves. I didn't watch
Wow.
the whole series, but I did listen to the book, so that was
Fields
what
is a
I
member of that.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, who do we have there? Do we say do we have a YouTube exclusive, or keep your child covered up for YouTube, Ando? That's okay.
Oh, we might get in trouble.
Ah,
Oh,
oh, what a cutie. All right. Well, we got Ando's got kids. Folo and Solo are moving on for something. Do we have anything else that we want to bring up, guys?
no, happy St. Patty's Day to all of you celebrating. And yeah,
All
look
right.
forward to the finale. And then if Ando can unmute himself, he could say something to us. What's going on with his head? What's he doing?
I thought I was talking over you. I forgot I was muted.
That's okay.
I was
Um,
wondering, I go, what are you having a tantrum?
I thought I was talking over you, and I was like yelling at myself basically. So
Oh, don't yell
that
at
was my
yourself.
fault.
It's okay.
The one other little Easter egg, the dog. This is a famous dog. That Radar is a famous dog. He's also known as Mondale, the dog that was always in Tom and Shiv's dog kennel in Succession. So the dog's
Really?
name is Ditto. Yes, a famous
Okay.
dog. So
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, Andy, because I was gonna say you and I are dog owners. Solo, you don't have a dog, but I know
I
Andy and
am
I were
getting one.
wondering
So
what did you say?
we're gonna get one.
Nice.
so
But I know Ando and I were wondering the whole time when he was like driving, like, where's the dog? He did not leave that dog at home. So when they give you that wide shot when he walks with the dog to the train and then the dog is with him, and I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, please. Because a lot of people were saying when Drummond broke in, where was the dog? That's the giveaway
yep, that was what I
that,
was saying. Yeah.
yes, that the dog would have been there if that's why the dog wasn't there, because he wanted him to break in. All right, we'll end it with a comment from our good friend John Wambacher. I love that all the characters are in flux. I have no clue how the season is going to end up. Either do we, but we will be here next week to talk about the finale. Thank you, everyone. Bill Cava, the one person who watched us on YouTube, and
Bye,
me. I guess
Bill.
I watched us a little. So did
I'm
Solo.
watching
So
right
thank
now.
you.
I'm
Yeah, I
Okay,
watching right
thank
liked
you,
and
now.
subscribed
Solo.
about 5 minutes ago too. So
Oh,
we're
okay,
we're
so
we're
if
increasing by like 100% today in
Yeah, we're
subscribers.
only like 1,000 behind Bubba and Catfish. So
all
we
right.
gotta, or
Well, we'll get
10,000.
there. Let's put our goal at 100 for now. I want to get 100 subscribers. It would be fun to do this because we get to be more live too. We can jump on real quick, talk for a short period of time. Maybe sometimes it'll be a YouTube exclusive, but always it will be on the Patreon, folks. So, oh, that's the other thing is next time I'll try to stream this live on Patreon through YouTube at the same time. It's a separate extra step I didn't want to do on. We'll take it slowly but surely. We'll get there, folks. Thanks everybody for listening. And literally, while we were doing the podcast, we got a new free member on our Patreon. Hello, Gabby. So thank you, Gabby, for listening. Welcome to the
Thanks,
Patreon,
Gabby.
Yay.
patreon.com/DVR. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to try to end this. I think I have to end the video, which is the Zoom, at the same time as the podcast. So I'm not only saying goodbye to everyone out there, but I'm saying goodbye to Solo and Ando at the same time. I'm just like Dylan. Look, guys,
I
I've
feel
got
like a
one hand on a
kindergarten.
mouse.
I feel like a kindergartner the way Axel explained this. Now, when I press stop, it's gonna end.
Got to bring you back to the kindergarten teacher. I love it.
No, but I'm just like Dylan, literally. I
Where's my
have one
finger
hand
pointing?
on the recorder and one hand on the mouse, and I'm like,
Oh,
stretch.
OT contingency.
I'm stretching. Here we
So
go,
Ando,
guys.
you got 10 seconds to say what you want to
10,
your outies.
9, 8. We're
I
going
can't
out. We're
handle the
going out
pressure.
early.